is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And it's Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. So you already know who I'm with. My guy from up north, above the border, Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. Always excited to get the chance to talk college football. We're getting right down to the end. CFP rankings are out, a couple weeks away from it being finalized. There's still that potential that Army Navy, one of them sneaking in. There's a lot of people that feel a certain way about these rankings. And yeah, it's a great time for college football right now.
It is beautiful. It is getting cold outside. We are 2 weeks away from the American version of Thanksgiving. So we have football every single day, be it NFL or college. And I'm going to tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, we just want to tell you we appreciate you. We apologize. We haven't been here for the last 2 weeks, but this stuff gets overwhelming. There is so much stuff to cover. There are days where I hit up Alex. I'm like, bruh, I'm overwhelmed, man. We just got to take a quick break, especially with this 12-team CFP that we're going to definitely discuss. So stay tuned. Join the show. We appreciate you guys joining us on this Saturday. But look, let's go ahead and get into it. You alluded to it. There's an updated CFP. It is not final. So I know a lot of you Georgia fans are a little bit upset at the current moment, but it's not final. You still got time. The road is in front of you. And I'm going to send it to you, but real quick, I want to show what the current CFP looks like at the moment. We have the four. Let me take that out real quick. We have the four byes, which is Oregon, undefeated Texas, BYU at 3, and then Miami at 4. Then we have the 5 seed Ohio State playing Boise, the 8 seed Tennessee playing Notre Dame, the 6 seed Penn State. Let me get that back. Playing Ole Miss, and the 7th seed Indiana playing the 10 seed Alabama. I'm gonna have to start there. I never, ever, not even in NCAA 14 or NCAA 25, thought I would see Indiana as the higher seed hosting Alabama in the first CFP. What you think, man?
See, it's funny because in college football 25, I've seen Indiana regularly up near the top in mine. And I was just like, there's no way. And then you see Kurt Signetti and Curtis Rourke and all these guys come out and just pound teams week after week after week into the dirt.
Yep.
And they're 10-0 for the first time in school history. Yep. What they're doing is unprecedented for Indiana football. And they've done an amazing job. They absolutely deserve to host a CFP playoff game. And what better show for your first a home playoff game than Alabama?
Come on. Exactly. And look, we got to give this coach credit. Signetti is absolutely up there as one of the elite premier coaches. And we know what he said when they press cut. He's like, how are you winning so much? He said, that's all I do. Google.
Yep.
He let them know. But 8-0 last year with JMU, 10-0 this year. The first time Indiana's ever had a 10-win season. Like, the fact that they're in this, it speaks to how great he is, but it also speaks to how great the 12 team is. Now we have teams that maybe would not have got in there for lack of exposure, for just the fact that they're not a normal powerhouse, but the fact that they're in here. And honestly, when I look at this game, I think it's a close one, but my money's going towards Indiana, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think Signetti's got to be the runaway coach of the year favorite at this point. Because Indiana does it all. They run the ball well. They throw the ball very well. They defend well. They block well. There's no real weakness to Indiana.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, we almost took the game from them last week, and I think if Will Johnson's healthy, we could have done it.
Yeah.
But I think Indiana's a damn good football team. I like their matchup against Alabama, especially if Alabama struggles in the second half like they have in some of these games. I think Indiana could pull it away.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you see this comment, but I'm going to throw it up there because I know you're going to get it down. Go ahead and take them out, man.
So it's above Florida State.
Yeah.
And they They have just as good a chance at being an at-large team as Florida State, though.
Come on. That's right. And somewhere in between there, North Carolina's in there. Let's go.
He ain't outscoring my team altogether, though. I will say that.
Exactly, right. What is going on, Anthony?
What's up, Anthony?
Watching from the gym. And look, for those of you that don't know, we are looking at the updated CFP rankings. And real quick, now that we have Anthony in here, let's go ahead and talk about it. We see there's two names that are not on this list. For me in the ACC, it's SMU, which has been one of the biggest surprises this year, along with Indiana. But Georgia, after their loss to Ole Miss, is not on this list. And I'm going to tell you, there's two schools of thought for me. One, obviously, in the last X amount of years, they've only lost to two different teams. Bama, they lost to 3 times, and then they are two or three times, and then they lost to Ole Miss this last weekend. But I was still very shocked that they were not on this list. They haven't been playing the best, but still, I thought with the strength of schedule, the fact that how they are in the SEC, they definitely would at least got on there at some point, man. What are your thoughts about that?
I'm not shocked one bit.
Ooh.
So you got to look at it. You've got undefeated Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Texas, who's the leader in the SEC right now due to only having the one loss. I know Georgia beat them, but Texas is the leader right now in the SEC, so they get that second seed. BYU gets the third seed. Miami gets the fourth seed, so those ones are out of the way already.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the remaining 8 spots. You've got Ohio State with 1 loss, Penn State with 1 loss, Indiana with no losses, Tennessee with 1 loss, Notre Dame with 1 loss, Miami with 1 loss, Alabama with 2 losses, and Ole Miss with 2 losses, with Boise State getting that other spot only with 1 loss. But Alabama and Ole Miss are the 2 losses to Georgia.
Yep.
So you have to put them below those 2.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, this made total sense today. Now, if they beat Tennessee like I'm expecting them to, they'll climb right back in.
Yeah.
But to me, it made total sense for them to be the first team out this week.
Right. And we know there's a lot of Georgia fans that are losing their minds. Obviously, Paul Feinbaum was out there talking about it's a travesty that, Georgia's not
an
in
SEC
here.
team. Of course, he's complaining about it.
Exactly. But look, like I said, hold on to your pants. It's not the end of the season yet. Y'all still have time to change it. But to your point, when you talk about the 2 losses and the 2 teams that they lost to are in on the bracket, I mean, come on. You got to do it. And let me ask you this. Does anything, we talk about strength of schedule, we talk about, wins and losses, but what about your play? Because Georgia has been struggling at times. Obviously, Colin and Anthony will tell you Carson Beck is throwing it more to the other team than his own team. You know what I mean? So does that play into it?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think a lot of it is the result. But then I think once you kind of start to get to the end of the rankings where you're picking who's 9, 10, 11, mostly because Boise State will probably end up 12.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're getting to those last 3 spots and you're kind of picking through them with a fine-tooth comb, then you start to see, okay, against these same opponents, these guys struggled a bit more, so maybe we'll drop them.
Right.
I think that could absolutely be true. I think a lot of it, too, is going to come down to who's playing in the SEC championship game, given that those last 3 spots have been filled with SEC right now.
Right.
If the conference championship game was to happen today, it's actually Tennessee versus A&M. Just because they've played one more game in conference than Texas has.
Right.
But you've got Texas right behind at 4-1, then Georgia 5-2, Ole Miss 4-2, Alabama 4-2. So they're all right there.
Mm-hmm.
So if Tennessee loses to Georgia today, then it's back to A&M and Texas.
Right.
But then if either of them slip up, then Georgia's right there.
Oh, yeah. And A&M and Texas got to play at the end of the year. So one of them is going to knock the other team off.
Yep.
Anthony said offense can't block. Defense is Jekyll and Hyde, depending on their opponent. Receivers can't catch. A cold in a room full of unmasked pneumonia patients. Oh, my God. I still love them, but no. Yeah, I'll give this to you right now. You're a realistic dog fan, my guy.
Yeah, that's
Oh
an
man.
accurate assessment of the team right now. Now, I think a little bit extreme,
Yeah.
um, but it's an accurate representation of what's going on with Georgia right now. There are holes in the armor for the first time in 4 or 5 years.
And this is going to be very interesting to see, Kirby, the offensive coordinator Bobo, how they're able to adjust down the line. I mean, it's not going to get any easier. You might as well say they're in the playoff now because with their schedule in the SEC, I can't even give them Georgia Tech at the end of the year with how well they've been playing. Obviously, we
Yeah.
saw they just upset Miami. So I think it's going to be tough down the line. Look, let's go into the other matchup. Penn State, the 16 playing Ole Miss. Obviously, Ole Miss just got the upset over Georgia. And Penn State, you talk about Jekyll and Hyde. Like, I want to shout out Penn State. Obviously Aller, obviously those running backs. That tight end we've said is one of the best in the country. But every time I pull for them in a game that actually matters, they seem to come up short. Unfortunately, weren't able to beat Ohio State again. I look at this game and I look at Penn State and know how hard nosed they are, but then I also look at Ole Miss, who's built to get ahead. If they get ahead of you and they can play ahead, then they're deadly. If you can get up on Penn State and not to punch them in the mouth, then you have an opportunity to play your type of game. So when you look at this game with Penn State and Ole Miss, what are you thinking?
If I'm not mistaken, didn't they play in the bowl last year? I think they played in one of the bowl games last year. Yeah. I think now, obviously, a lot more of the key players will play, given that it's a bowl game, or a playoff game. Sorry, but I think it's a sorry.
In the Peach Bowl, they play in the Peach Bowl.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's one of those things because, like you said, Ole Miss is built to get ahead, but Penn State's defense is very, very good. Like Ohio State's had a very good offense all year, only could score 20 against Penn State.
Yeah.
So, and the other big thing is that Peach Bowl neutral site. This year, they'd have to go to Happy Valley.
Yes.
You could probably argue they're going to make that a night game, probably a whiteout game.
And more than just the fans, it might be whiteout snow. I mean, we're talking December.
Yeah. And I think where we said Ole Miss is built to get the lead, Penn State is built to just not let you break it away. Exactly. Then it's up to Drew Aller on whether or not he can lead the drive that they need to at the end of the game, because they had that chance against Ohio State, couldn't get it done. Now, I think I like Penn State given the home game, winter conditions. I think I would lean Penn State there, but like you said, I don't feel good about it because they choke in every major game.
That's my thing. We've seen it every time they play a premier opponent. Something happens. Now maybe it's just playing those guys in the Big Ten. Maybe that's the crux. That's the thing that's getting them. But it's never failed it when they're playing under James Franklin. When they play some of these top tier teams, they struggle. So it really depends on who gets the momentum first and what type of game that is. But I definitely think that weather is going to play a factor, in the fact that it's going to be cold and the fact that they're going to be at Penn State. So that should be interesting. Let's go to the other side. You got Tennessee and Notre Dame. And obviously, we'll see what happens today. This could definitely change for Tennessee. But shout out to our guy, E.K. Holiday, Mr. Eric Kelly, and his Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They're in there as of right now. What are you thinking? I think this is two evenly matched teams. I would hate to see who they got to face next in the number 1 seed of Oregon. But, I want to lean Tennessee if they're at full health.
Yeah.
But the way that Riley Leonard's been playing, they're starting to get him a little passing game. They have a solid defense. We've seen Notre Dame when they're at top strength. Notre Dame is forced to be reckoned with. So, what do you think about this one, man?
To me, we want to talk about Jekyll and Hyde. Both these quarterbacks are the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde guys this year. From week to week, you never know what you're going to get from Riley Leonard, and I'm a big fan of Riley Leonard. As a Michigan fan, I was sad to see him go to Notre Dame, but and then Nico, I think it's Iamaleava.
Yeah. Yay, there you go.
He started off the year so hot, and then he's just kind of came crashing back down to just an average quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like what happened in that
Yeah.
few week stretch. Now, obviously, the offensive line got hurt, or pretty much everybody got hurt, realistically. But and they're starting to play the cream of the crop in the SEC in these last few weeks as well. But I don't expect this to be Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee will make the playoff, given I think they'll lose today, and then that'll probably knock them out altogether. But if this was to happen, I think I'd actually lean Notre Dame.
Yeah. When I look at this game, I honestly I would go back to health, obviously, but for the thing that is for me, it's the time of the year, being it cold.
Mm-hmm.
Who has a solid run game and a good defense? Obviously, we know that about Notre Dame, but also I want to know what that secondary looks like. If it is
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee, if it is Georgia in this spot or whoever,
That's what I
can
think it's going to be.
yeah. So how can they play against the pass? Because if Notre Dame has any semblance of a pass game, then okay, we got to move them up a little bit because we know how good
Mm-hmm.
the run game is and we know what their defense can do. But that has been their Achilles heel all season long. Eric will tell you that, like you said, it's either Riley's bombing it and killing teams up 42, nothing on the squad, or NIU's holding them to 14 and
Yeah.
upset them. You know what I mean? So it really is either or from that. And I'm eager to see if they can pull it out. But again, they have to finish out. There's no guarantees that they continue to win every game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the last matchup on here is Ohio State and Boise State. Now listen, you watch Ohio State all the time, and with the exception of the Oregon game, with the exception of the close game to Penn State, they have really been steamrolling teams. Boise, we know, is Austin Genty. We know, I mean, Mike Madison, the quarterback, is decent. They have a good team, but against a powerhouse like Ohio State, who really has been balling out this year, I don't want to sit here and say blowout, man. But I am a little weary of this matchup. If this is even the matchup that we end with.
If this is the matchup we get, I actually think of these four matchups, this is the closest one.
Really? Ooh, okay.
And that's pulling my bias aside. I'd want it to be a blowout for Boise State, obviously, but what's the one thing Ohio State has struggled against the last few years? Physicality in a run game.
Absolutely.
That is the entirety of what Boise State is going to bring into this game. It's going to be cold weather, Ashton Genty. I think any team that can run the ball successfully, and then you've got Madsen, who's been really good at just not doing too much, getting the ball where it needs to go, on time, in rhythm. That's the perfect recipe to beat Ohio State.
Right.
Oregon did it with a little more pass game and survived. Let's be real, they survived. But it's also going to be insanely hard to go in to their stadium, playoff game, and do it. So I would unfortunately lean with the Suckeyes, but I think Ashton Genty makes that a game.
Oh, absolutely. And I think hopefully at this point he's up there past 2000, really making strides to break or at least come close to Barry's record. I'm definitely pulling for him this year, and we'll see. So, hey, we're gonna put it up there one more time. This is the current updated CFP. This is not the final updated CFP. So, take a look. There's a lot of this could change. We talked about SMU. We talked about Georgia. Those are a couple teams that could potentially shoot up in there. Not to mention the Army, Navy. We got to figure them out. Couple other teams here and there. But yeah.
So I was just gonna say, I'm pulling those 3 and 4 seeds too. Ooh. I think SMU gets in over Miami, takes the ACC.
Oh yeah.
And I never thought I would have said this to start the season. I think Colorado wins the Big 12, gets that 4 seed.
What?
They're playing defense now. They're balling out offensively. They can stop the run. They can run the ball. Obviously, Shedeur can air it out. Travis Hunter's still that dude playing both sides of the ball. I don't know that BYU has enough offensively in that matchup if Colorado gets there and they control their destiny to get to the conference championship game. I like what Dion's done with Colorado this last month here. They've turned me. I think Colorado wins the Big 12.
Wee! You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I was thinking it. I wasn't going to say it because they broke my heart before. But no, I'm right there with you. The way they're playing right now, and with BYU, I mean, we've seen they almost lost in last one. Like you kind of are waiting for the other shoe to drop, albeit they have been playing great, but they do have to face, potentially the Colorado. They do have to get a couple of these games down the line, and the Big 12 is still kind of up there. Some of these teams can't pull it out. So yeah, I like that. I like that. But look, we got to go ahead and move on. And because you mentioned it, you alluded to the fact that Colorado could be in there, and we don't know if they will be, but if they are, there is at least one, if not two, reasons why they're in there. And we're going to talk about them in our Heisman Watch.
With team success comes individual success. So without y'all.
Yeah, buddy. We are looking at our updated Heisman watch list, and we're going to go through and just look at the odds of these teams, of these players, I mean. And as you alluded to, you talking about Colorado, Travis Hunter is minus 110 right now. I mean, the guy is playing out of his mind. But and I'm going to get back to Dylan Gabriel's number 2 right now in the betting odds with plus 360. Ashton Jeanty is number 3 with plus 450. Cam Moore dropped down to 4 with plus 700. Curtis Rorick of Indiana, plus 1,500. Man, come on. That is what I wanted to see. But you look at this list, you look at the top all the way through, man. Is this kind of where you stand? Do you have anybody up higher or lower? What you think?
To me, that's my top 5. And I think Jalen Milroe being very close in the odds to Curtis Rourke is accurate. I think Milroe's just on the outside looking in for me. I've got those top 5 just in a different order. I got Rourke at 5. I think if he goes in and beats Ohio State next week, then he shoots up into that top 3. But for me right now, didn't know that he was 5th in the odds before you showed me before the show. I was going to have him 5th regardless because he's been balling out, and I've loved to see it. Cam Ward for me dropped to 4, just like on the list here. Played very well pretty much all season. They finally got caught, and they've had a couple of those games where he's had to be Superman and steal the game right at the end. They didn't do it this time, funny enough, against Georgia Tech again, just like last year, to ruin the undefeated season. My first change here, I got Dylan Gabriel at 3. Okay. I just think the two non-quarterbacks have kind of separated themselves a little bit personally. Now, Dylan Gabriel has a couple games left to show that I'm wrong about that, but I think and I've got another flip-flop here too. I think Travis Hunter is 2. Now, to me, Hunter and my number 1, Ashton Jeanty, it's razor thin. You could argue either one, and I'm going to be like, you're right. So, to me, just personally, what Ashton Jeanty's done at Boise State, that group of 5, it still played well against a team like Oregon, so we can say strength of schedule all we want. He's played a quality opponent and still played well. Now what Hunter's done as that wide receiver and corner, it's the volume he's played at both positions is unprecedented. And he's played elite on both sides of the ball. So I'm talking myself into flipping it here. Right. I'm going Hunter 1, Jeanty 2. Like I said, either way.
Split it in half. Just split it in half.
Yeah, can we give it to both of them?
I mean, honestly. Look, I'm right there with you. So for me, I have different. For me, 6, and this is fully dependent on what happens, is Shedeur Sanders with how he's been playing in Colorado, because he continues to prove people wrong. And if they were able to make the Big 12 championship and potentially win that thing, if he puts them in that position, you got to show them love. That's my 6. Number 5 for me, I hate that, and I didn't have Curtis Rourke in there, and I have him up to that list, but I have him at 7. Number 5 for me is Jackson Dart. Honestly,
Like
the fact that Jackson Dart, I mean, he went down early in that game, then was able to muster up the strength, come back in that game, and really play a good game against a great Georgia team. Albeit the defense isn't what it used to be, but I mean, they are still a solid team, and really win that thing handily. It was definitely impressed me. Number 4 is Cameron Ward. I mean, I'm not going to take as much away from him for that loss because he's been the reason why they've been in these games. And in those games where they've gotten down, he's 3-1 because I thought I know he had 3 other victories when they were down, and he wasn't able to pull this one out. But I believe in him. I see what he's doing. Now, this is where things gets switched for me. I also have Dylan Gabriel at 3rd. And the reason being is because, like you saying, he's winning. They're undefeated, best team in the country. But some of those have been by the skin of their teeth. And he's played well, yes, and he's clearly that guy. But maybe this is my running back bias, and that's why I had to drop him a little bit because he's not doing, for me, what if Cameron Ward was undefeated, he was doing. What, Quinn Ewers, if he stayed undefeated, what he would have been like. I just think Dylan is playing well. But again, just a little bit under. And this is where it gets crazy. It gets crazy. Running back bias, Austin Gentry's my guy, and I have him at number 1. Travis Hunter, I feel awful. I want him at number 1 because the thing about Travis Hunter is that what we're seeing from him, I don't know that it has been done since like post World War II type stuff, like where the guy regularly played Iron Man and played offense and defense and never came off the field. I think the last game he was only out of the game like one play. You know what I mean?
And there's been multiple games like that all season.
Exactly.
It's insane.
It's what he's able to do is one thing. I mean, having the stamina to do it is one thing. But then you are impacting the game greatly. You're catching balls. I mean, you were balling out over 500-600 yards receiving, if not far more. You're sitting here up there in the top tier in deflections and pass breakups. I mean, you were making tackles. Like, you were doing everything for this team.
Literally.
I mean, literally, right. So, I mean, just by the sheer fact of everything you're doing, I have to put you up there in that category. But for me, as somebody that grew up watching Barry Sanders, if this can be done, and we've seen it, he's doing it, and the person that Austin Gentry is on top of that, the scholarship that he created, the fact that he is so personable and out in the open and close to people, I am bought and sold by this. Like, I absolutely love everything about what Austin Gentry is bringing to the table right now. He is my number 1. But again, just like you, if it went to Travis, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I have no issues. I just love the way that they're playing. But I do think if Travis is able to really propel these guys into a position to really be playing late, I mean, him and Shador, I mean, we got to give him love. Deion said they were going to do it last year. It didn't come to fruition, but he's definitely doing it this year, man. Oh, yeah. You shared
I sent you a stat line there.
Jeez Louise.
69 catches, 856 yards, 9 touchdowns, leads Colorado in all 3 categories.
Come on, man.
And it's leads by 24 catches, leads by 270 yards and a touchdown.
Good God. Yeah, look.
And those are guys that are just playing receiver, and he's playing defense as well.
Right.
Like,
you got to show love. When other players watch his game and they just want to see, is he doing it? Can he do it? Can he continue to do it? That's what I think it really shows when your peers revere you in the way that they do. And look, we've seen it. I beforehand, I didn't know if he could translate. I don't know if they'll fully let him play both ways in the pros, but he's proven whichever side you pick him on, he's going to ball out. He's going to play well, man.
If he's a corner in the draft next year, he's probably the top corner taken. I love my boy Johnson, but Travis is probably the top boy taken there at corner. And if he's a receiver, he's probably the top receiver taken. Like, there's legit talk of teams at the top of the draft that need a quarterback, an offensive lineman, whatever, taking Travis Hunter first overall.
Oh yeah.
Like that's how good this guy is. And we talked about his offensive stats. I just looked it up. He's defensively top 10 on the team in tackles as a corner.
Oh my goodness.
Like when we say he does everything, he does everything. He gets in there and attacks the run game. He covers your best receiver and locks him down. He runs all the routes, catches all the balls, scores all the touchdowns. Like it's just what Travis Hunter is doing right now is absolutely insane.
It is. And we got to give him his flowers right now. I mean, he's absolutely balling out. And this won't be seen anytime soon. Like I just don't see. It's a special type of player to be able to do what he's been doing. Again, I mean, it's a flip of a coin for me, Travis and Austin Genty. But right now, I got Austin up there. And as you saw, the last show we did a couple weeks ago, I think Travis up at number one. Or I had
you had Travis one, yeah.
So I mean, look, honestly, the way they're both playing, I don't remember a time when I had two favorites. I had two picks that I was like, yeah, I could go either way on this. It's either normally been this guy or that guy or whatever, but I'm loving each and everything I'm seeing. Now let's look below that list. We see all these other people on here: Quinn Ewers, Shador Sanders, Cade Klubnik, Aller, Leonard, any of those guys. Do you see any of those other guys making any kind of, or is the gap too far, or what do you think?
To me, if you take out the top, if you avoid the top 5 up there, I think Milroe, Dart, and Shador are the only 3 I really think have a shot. Quinn looked awful against Georgia. Got benched even. I think that killed him. And missing those couple games. Klubnik, like he's got the numbers to justify it, but he's looked rough in a couple games here recently, and Georgia to start the year, he's gone. Drew Aller, had he won the Ohio State game, he'd be up in the discussion. He's too far out. Riley Leonard, Jekyll and Hyde, way too inconsistent. He's out. Emeka Egbuka, not even the best receiver on his own team. He's out. I like Rocco Beck, but they've kind of hit that slump the last 2 games. I think he's out. And if I'm not mistaken, Graham Mertz is still hurt.
Yeah.
Is he not? So
he ain't playing. So
that's
a little awkward. I saw that at the bottom there. So hey, we'll see. Right now, it's pretty much a 3-man race. We'll see what Shador is able to do, Ward, some of those guys, but that is where we are. Let us know who your picks are for the Heisman Trophy and where you stand on that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick breather. We're going to come back with some statistical leaders in the passing game. Stay with us. Stay with us. There we go. Yeah, buddy. Yes, English is hard. Thank you.
Yes, it is.
That was the Sean Spencer Quartet playing jazz. My guy Anton Benton of Awesome Artisans definitely does good work, and he travels. Hit him up, living in the 757 Virginia Beach area. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to move on. We appreciate you guys being here with us. But we wanted to look at some statistical leaders. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of things getting overlooked. Told you that overwhelming part. There's so much we want to cover, and this is one of those places. We want to look at the NCAA passing leaders. I'm going to bring up the list right here and right now. All righty. As we see, the leading passer in the country right now with 33,494 yards, Cam Ward, followed by Jackson Dart, 3,409. Then a little known Chandler Morris of North Texas with just over 3,320, almost just under 3,330 yards, just under that. Then you have Josh Hoover and Kyle McCord, who round out the top five. Shador, Garrett Nestor, Dylan Gabriel, Owen McCown, the legacy child, man. He's at
Mm-hmm.
9, and then Seth Hennigan at 10. I mean, look, there's a number of names on this list. We know, obviously, Fafita, Miller Moss, they're a little bit down there. I like to see Billy Edwards of Maryland at number
Mm-hmm.
15 to 2,500 yards, man. What's are you surprised at all by this list? I know we haven't watched all of these teams, but what are your thoughts about this?
I mean, there's a couple guys I wasn't too familiar with: Chandler Morris, Josh Hoover, being the main. Owen McCown as well. But by the rest of the list, no, I'm not really surprised. I think Cam Ward has been the best quarterback all year. You've got Jackson Dart with that high-powered offense there too. I'm a little surprised he's as high, given that they get up early, like you said, and then they just tend to just kind of run the ball, pound teams into submission as well. That's what it seemed like, at least. So Dart being 2 was a little surprising to me. McCord, Shador, Nussmeier, Gabriel, Hennigan, those ones I all expected to be in the top 10 here. It's a really good list of quarterbacks right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's take a look right now at who has the best completion percentage. And with that, things switch up a little bit. Grant Mertz. Oh, this guy. Now, we have to take out the fact. Yeah, he was out for a couple games, so it might be a little higher.
They also look at the number of attempts.
Oh, yeah. Dylan Gabriel over there at 2. Will Howard at 3. But here's something that I like. Shador Sanders at 4. Him throw almost 73% passing. I mean, a lot of people have been making noise about him being a top 5 pick, one of the top quarterbacks taken. I mean, look, the proof is in the pudding. Almost 3,000 yards, over 72% completion percentage. I mean, the guy, this is why I said I think if he can continue to win, they'll move him up that Heisman list because he's the proof is in the pudding. He's showing you what he is.
Yeah, to me, I think there's not really a weakness to Shador's game in my mind. If I had to nitpick, I'd say he holds the ball too long. But as you can see with the completion percentage, very accurate. If you look over to the right side, the touchdown interception, 24-6. That's 4 touchdowns for every interception. Does not turn the ball over very much, and that's with getting sacked 28 times. So, to me, Shador Sanders should be the first quarterback taken next year. The mobility, the arm talent, the accuracy, everything that goes into it. Now, I think they might kind of try and force their way to a certain situation. Sounds like they really want Vegas, from what I've been seeing. That's given Antonio Pierce still being there. They want him to play for a coach like that in the new stadium in Vegas, and in that situation, I was like, all right, if you want to do that, go right ahead. But and also he works with Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the new minority owner. So there's that connection as well.
Yeah, Brock Bowers. So
Yeah,
one weapon.
But yeah, I think Shador should absolutely be the first quarterback taken next year.
Oh yeah, the way he's playing, it's definitely showing he is worthy of that. Let's go to touchdown leaders, which is Cam Ward. And I mean, you mentioned, the touchdowns interception ratio. Cam Ward, 32 TDs, 6 interceptions on the season. Next closest guy in touchdowns is Chandler Morris. And then third, like we mentioned, Shador Sanders with 24 touchdowns, and he only has 6 interceptions. So, and again, a lot of these names, the touchdown lists are familiar. Cade Klubnik at 3 with 24 touchdowns. Kyle McCord at 4 with 23. Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard, those type of things. I'm interested. I'm not going to say excited because it is Duke, but to see Malik Murphy up here, 2,300 yards,
Mm-hmm.
22 TDs, only 8 interceptions. That I of course you know how I feel about Duke being a North Carolina fan, but seeing that he transferred from Texas, went over here, and this is his first year over here with the new coach and the way that they've been playing. Honestly, I'm very impressed by them. They were 6-1 a week ago. I think they lost 2 weeks ago. I don't know if they lost last week, but Duke. I mean, they're not a basketball school anymore, even though North Carolina seems to have reverted back to basketball school status. Duke is playing well, and I'm interested in seeing if he can keep it up. Another name on here, John Mateer from Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of the most underlooked players. 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 2,300 yards. They don't pass all the time as much, but I mean, Mateer he's gutsy. He's been playing tough throughout this season. I think his rating is that it? 158.8.
Yep.
Like the guy has really he's been showing up in blips on our screen, but
Yep.
never really consistent like that, man. But I like to see some of these guys really kind of, make their name, put themselves in the hat, man. So
yeah,
good stuff. Definitely good stuff. So yeah, that is the list. Real quick look at see who the interception leaders are. Alan Bowman. Oh, sorry about that, Georgia fans. Carson Beck as tied for first with 12 interceptions, only 17 touchdowns. Ooh.
There's 7 people tied for first.
Oh yeah, Kyle McCord is in that list. We've seen that. My guy Devin Dampier. He's done everything he can do for that team, but he's
thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. Dampier and Jake Garcia.
Sad to see. I watched a little bit of Ethan Gabers last night, 14 and 11. He's kind of struggling. Yeah, man. So look, these guys, defenses are starting to play well, but also if you'll notice, these interceptions directly correlate with the subpar completion percentage. A lot of these guys in the low 60s, upper 50s in completion percentage, with the exception of Mikey Keene, who's got 70% at 15 and 11. So, yeah, quite interesting to see. Next week, we will definitely cover their counterparts in wide receiver so we can see some of these guys that are getting a lot of love and a lot of attention, man. It's gonna be interesting, man. I'm eager to see how it plays out, who's the leader and how that correlates with the end of the season award. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost done, but we did want to talk about some of these big Saturday big games. Alex, I'm going to come to you first. Obviously, everybody knows about the Colorado game that's going on now, Georgia, Tennessee. What are some of the games that you are eager to see today?
That Colorado one for sure. Them playing Utah, hosting Utah. Utah is looking like they're about to score here. 3rd and goal on Colorado's 4-yard line. As far as ranked games go, Missouri, South Carolina, 23-21. Boise State, the leading rusher, and San Jose State has the leading receiver. Spoiler alert for next week. 2 high-powered offenses. I think that's going to be a phenomenal game. And then that Tennessee-Georgia game for me. Can Georgia bounce back?
For me, it's got to go Pitt, Clemson. We've seen kind of Clemson shaky recently. Pitt obviously took an L, but this is going to see who can continue to make strides in the ACC, because Clemson, albeit ranked 20, they lose this one, they're out, in my opinion. They have been struggling as of late. Penn State, Purdue. We talked about what Penn State is. We talked about how tough they are, and I know this should be a blowout. Purdue is they're pesky.
Purdue has 1 or 2 of these every other year. Yeah,
it scares me. That game definitely scares me. Louisville versus Stanford. Stanford, the record, in my opinion, is not indicative of how they have played it sometimes. I don't think Louisville will lose this, but Stanford, just like Cal, has played up this season. So I'm eager to see.
It's a cross-country game.
Yeah.
Louisville's going to Stanford, so you never know.
Yeah. Look, he said, don't be sorry. It's been a rough year. Yeah. You don't know rough. All right. Come to Chapel Hill. We'll talk rough. All right, buddy?
Yeah, you've got a number beside your name. What the hell are you talking about with rough?
Right. It's been a rough year. Get out of here. Come on. But also that Kansas BYU game. Look, we both talked about it. BYU is undefeated. Kansas has not had the season that they would have liked, but I just don't. I'm not going to underestimate them. I like their coach. The last couple of years, they have been playing well. They could potentially get up for this game. And BYU, I just still get this feeling like that other shoe's going to drop eventually, and they're going to take a hiccup. They're going to lose one of these games. So that is one that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Who you guys got today?
We're on the bye this week.
You're on the bye?
We're on the bye. Then we got Northwestern next week, and then the big game on Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay, so Northwestern should be.
Northwestern's playing Ohio State today. So
they should be roadkill for you guys. Hopefully, you guys can.
Should be. Let's wait and see. And then, Northwestern stopped Ohio State. They got the ball on their own 8 now.
Okay. All right.
No, yeah. Still 0-0, 3 minutes left in the first.
Okay. All right, Northwestern. Maybe I'll take that back, guys. Maybe I'll take that back.
If you can just not be roadkill this week and be roadkill next week, that'd be great.
Right. Put everything you have in this game. Just don't show up next. A couple other ones that I think could be sneakily good. Nebraska versus USC. Nebraska's 5-4, USC's 4-5. That's huge in the Big Ten. West Virginia versus Baylor, both at 5-4. West Virginia came in expecting a little bit more this year, but I think all things considered, that's kind of where they stand in their division. A lot of these other ones we've definitely talked about. Let me ask you this. Number 1, Oregon versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin's one of those that's either or up in the air. We know Oregon has played some tough games. Should Oregon be any worried? Are they looking ahead to the postseason?
No. I think Wisconsin's an interesting matchup for the Ducks here. But I don't think Dan Lanning will let them lose focus here. I think kind of like last year where I was saying all along Michigan had that view towards that one big common goal. I think that's Oregon this year.
Yeah.
I think they won't be phased. You got into a war with Ohio State earlier in the year. You never batted an eye.
Yep.
Now I think you'll take care of Wisconsin this week. And then the reason they could be looking ahead though is they might be looking to finally exercise those demons against Washington.
Yeah.
They always have struggled against Washington. Obviously, this ain't the same Washington team it's been the last couple of years. Sitting at 6-5 right now. But that could be something where they're kind of hyping themselves up for that. Now they have a bye week in between, so might not be the case, but I think Oregon is. I think they're the best team in the country. I don't think it's that close.
Yeah.
Their ability to just do everything, and I think they're locked in and focused on getting that 1 seed and having the best path to the national championship.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And look, yeah, you and I might not need them to get it done, but I know there's a certain person in our group chat that absolutely needs an Oregon national championship.
I've been telling him all year he's going to get it.
Alec, we are with you, buddy. We hope you finally get this Oregon national championship. Oh, man.
At least one team from my prediction to start the season to be there. I had Oregon, Texas, so we'll see about Texas, but.
Right, yeah. Oh, Texas. How you falling? So those are all the big ones. Real quick, let's go with who do we think our upset picks are? Who do we think is going to come out of this a little hurt?
In my dream scenario, Northwestern, but I'm going to be realistic.
Always. Anybody playing Ohio State.
Let's see. I'll go with based on the rankings, I'll say Pitt upsets Clemson.
Ooh, okay.
I like Pitt in that matchup. Based on the rankings again, I'm going to take Navy to beat Tulane.
Ooh.
Unranked Navy against 25 Tulane. I think Navy wins that game. If I had to pick one more, I would go with I'm gonna cause some chaos here.
Mm.
Unranked Florida beats LSU.
Woo! Oh, I like that. I like that. I had my eye on it. I had my good eye
I was
on that
sitting
game.
there like, do I? Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Oh, I love that one. I love that. For me, I hate to do this because I've been shouting Kansas State all year, but they're going up against 7-2 Arizona State. I think Arizona State sneaks one out in this one. I
Could
think they
definitely
get
see
the
it.
upset. Definitely love that pick for you. I've talked about it earlier. I'm gonna go Stanford over Louisville for the sheer fact that they're playing across the country. Louisville is gonna hopefully, we'll see about the jet lag and all that. Stanford is no slouch. So, and you talk about your bracket buster, causing chaos. I already talked about it. Purdue. I mean, look, one game a year, they get it done. Penn State, I just think they're, coming off their struggles. They're just that. I'm going Purdue in this ball game. And I'm going to stop right there. I'm eyeing Arkansas just because I'm like,
see, I'm eyeing Kansas.
See, I was looking that way too. But and then also Georgia. I mean, I don't normally pick for the Bulldogs, but I think they can take it to Tennessee.
See, the reason I didn't pick them is like if you're going off the rankings, they're the underdog. To me, they should be the heavy favorite in this game.
Right. So that's the way we have it. Let us know what some of your upset picks are. We will definitely see how these picks come to fruition. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our show, but we got a little bit of time. So what we are going to do is what we would do if we were coaching late in the game. We scored a touchdown. We're down by 1. Kick the extra point. Nah, we're going for 2. Yeah, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, we go for 2. We just take a little bit off the dome just to tell you what's going on with us around town and how we get down. My guy, Alex Loosemore, going for 2. What you got, man?
For me, it's just with the majority of the people around these shows, watching these shows, being a part of these shows, being American. You've got your Thanksgiving coming up. Christmas is right around the corner. Holidays are here. Spend that time with your family, your loved ones, whether that includes your close friends, obviously your family, all the people you care about. Reach out to them, spend time with them. Just enjoy this holiday season.
Absolutely. And if you have friends up north above the border, and maybe in America you got a little craziness in the government, you need to lean on some of them friends. Like, hey, I'm going to cash on the couch for 3-4 years. I don't know.
Door's always open.
Yeah. Yo, for me, piggybacking on that, definitely with the holiday season coming, and we definitely got to remember all those that are close to us, because we don't know what people are dealing with and what's going on in people's lives. But for me, I want to say something, and I know a lot of people are listening. Alex, I know you already know this. Will already knows this. I take this stuff seriously. All the shows that we do, all the consistency, how I'm kind of harping on it, like got to get it done, and I want to make it the best product out there. Whenever I would leave the house, my parents would always say, you need to make sure that your hair is done, your clothes look nice, you're on your best behavior. For a while, I didn't understand until one day my mom explained it to me. She said, you're a representation of me. So when you go out there and you do X, Y, and Z, if you act up or you act a fool, they're going to not look at you as much as they're going to come back and look at who was the one who raised them. Likewise, with a lot of these shows that we do, I'm putting my whole heart out here. I'm trying to put everything I can out here, do the shorts to get everybody together in X, Y, and Z. So that's my heart. When I do these shows and when people are watching and stuff like that, that's how I feel, like how my parents feel, that this is a representation of me. So I wanted to come out and just take this time to apologize to anybody that I might have, get a little hard on or harped on or email you with text messages and things like that, just because I love doing this. I love what we're building. And I love the fact that we have people that are reaching out and they're coming back and they're talking to us. They're learning from us and they're just consistently watching and paying attention. And I think we owe it to them. And I owe it to the people that are working in our group and the people that are giving me their time, not paid, I don't have anything else to offer outside of just talking football. But the fact that you guys are giving me your time, my job is to make sure that I don't do you guys wrong. And so forgive me for being a little antsy, a little overbearing, but I absolutely love this. I absolutely will love working with you guys. And I'm going to do everything in my power to elevate this to the place that I think it should be. So
we're all right there with you.
Yeah, my man. See, hey, bear with me. It's I might get a little rough, might get a little harder, but we're going into the best time of the football season. And part of it is that it is November. So I know we got like 3 months. You know what I mean? And then it's back to the cave.
Back to the countdown, yeah.
Right. So, we appreciate y'all, man. That was our going for 2. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Look, that's my guy right there, Alex Loosemore, my main man. He came out here and talked some college football with me, man, and I am much appreciative of you, my guy.
Right back at you. Always love any opportunity we get to talk college ball.
Absolutely. Look, we're getting in the thick of it. It's getting a little warm in here, ladies and gentlemen. So if it's too hot, man, maybe you need to stay out the kitchen, baby. So, hey, we're heading out. Have a good Saturday. Tune into some good college football. North Carolina plays Wake Forest today.
Oh, okay.
SMU, so I'm good.
7-3 Colorado. They drove right down the field and scored.
Okay. I know what game I'm tuning on first. Yeah. All right, guys. We will see y'all next week, man. Have a good week and take care, baby. Let's go.